We love the Espinozas. I love Jeshua, their son. I got the privilege of being in his life several times to help point him toward detox as he wrestled. I know Jesh knew Jesus. He wrestled with Jesus, but he also wrestled with other things in this life too. And he struggled. And I remember getting the phone call at 9 o'clock in the morning to go to the hospital on a Saturday. Just said, tragedy, Jeshua. That's all it said, tragedy, Jeshua. I remember walking through the doors of the hospital room. I remember Angie and Sheila turning and looking at me. Jeshua laying in the bed on life support, no brain activity. And they just fell into my arms. And I held on to them with everything that I had, and they just went limp. They just hung there, and I held them as hard as I could, and they were screaming, and they were crying, and they were mourning like I've never heard people mourn before. And I just held them with everything that I had. I did the memorial service the other day, and many of you were there. I started the memorial service off different than I normally start a memorial service. I started a little differently. I just stepped up to the front of the room, and I simply said this: we've had an earthquake. The whole world is shook. Our worlds have shook. So we're here today to celebrate Jesh's life and to hold on to one another and to build each other up, to be strong with God, to be strong with one another. That night we had a dinner, and Angelo, as I was leaving, getting ready to go home and rest, get ready for services the next day, I said to Ange, I love you, and we're going to walk with you through this. And he looked at me and he said these words. He said, I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't walked through that door when you did. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't walked through that door when you did. Strong with God. Strong with each other. Because the earth will quake. And everybody said, all right. I wish for